Hey Moneymakers, I'm Kalila Reynolds and welcome back to another episode of Taking Stock Live. We're bringing you all the latest business news and telling you how it will affect you and your money. Well, you might be familiar with the iconic Jamaican blue cake soap. And nearly so everybody have as a mega class. How's the song go? Cartel has a cake soap song, right? Yeah, cake soap was all the rage one time back in the day when it came to skincare, but we know it more importantly as laundry soap. The blue cake soap gets your whites very white, but not many people may know the company behind cake soap is actually Blue Power Group, and they were the #1 performing stock in Jamaica last year with returns of about 80%. We're going to be talking to them about the past year and their plans for the future coming up on tonight's show. But before that, let me see you hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, let people know that Taking Stock is live, and also let me know in the comments, where are you joining us from? What part of Jamaica or what part of the world? Now come on, let's get this money. On this episode of Taking Stock, Blue Power Group was the #1 Jamaican stock in 2024, up 80%. What made them so hot? And what plans does the company have for 2025? General Manager VJ Tolan joins us to discuss. And the analysts weigh in on the latest market developments. Chinese company Deepseek is making a splash in the AI game. How is this affecting the U.S. markets, including competitor Nvidia? Plus, Jamaica's government says it plans to sell its remaining stake in TransJamaican Highway. What does this mean for you? We'll discuss.
But first, here's What's Hot, brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the government plans to sell its remaining 20% stake in TransJamaican Highway later this year. TransJam listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange in 2020 after raising a record-breaking $14 billion in its IPO. Speaking at the JSC's annual regional conference, Holness said the sale will be done through a public offer on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The stock's price has quadrupled since listing at $1.41 in 2020. It closed last week at $4.23. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister also announced that the government is considering a plan to reduce the withholding tax on dividends for Jamaican residents. Currently, shareholders pay a 15% tax on dividends. Holness didn't give any more details, but said the move is part of the government's plan to simplify taxes. Mayberry Investments has announced its latest bond offer. The company is looking to raise $2.3 billion. The bond has an interest rate of 10.25% and matures in 24 months. Mayberry says the funds will be used to fully repay its existing bond that matured this month. The minimum subscription is 20,000 Jamaican dollars, followed by increments of 10,000. The offer opens on January 31 and is scheduled to close on February 28. Fontana says it plans to acquire the Monarch chain of pharmacies. According to the company, both parties have signed an agreement and due diligence will begin shortly. Monarch Pharmacy has 4 locations across Kingston and St. Catherine. It's owned by the Lasucian family. If finalized, the deal would bring Fontana's total number of stores to 11. Fontana CEO Ann Chang said the transaction is expected to close by March. Chinese artificial intelligence company Deepseek rattled U.S. stocks on Monday after announcing its latest development. The company created a ChatGPT-like AI model called R1. The chatbot reportedly has similar abilities as ChatGPT, but operates at a fraction of the cost. Deepseek said it had spent roughly $6 million US on computing power for its base model, compared with the hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars that U.S. companies spend on their AI technologies. Analysts said the news is shocking considering the U.S. has restricted the supply of high-power AI chips to China. This means Deepseek was able to achieve its low-cost model on underpowered AI chips. The stock price for US-based chipmaker Nvidia fell almost 18% on Monday.
What's Hot was brought to you by JMMB Group, your best interest at heart.
If me no rich this year, next year nah pass, come born as a hustler. Is that you? Have you made a New Year's resolution to start investing but you still haven't started yet? Well, I got you. It's my New Year, New Money $99 sale. Get investing for beginners for $99 all through January. Learn how to analyze and choose stocks, how to spot good investments, create your personal investment profile, and start investing in Caribbean and US stocks. Go to investingforbeginnersja.com and use the code NEWMONEY at checkout. Let's get this money.
Let's get this money.
How could I forget the song? Cool like me wash my face with the cake soap. Area, girl from every area. Speaking of areas, let me see who is joining us and where from tonight, starting with Dwight, joining from Spanish Town. Roger is in the house all the way from Philly. Dwight says, hoping to get some good results from the companies as earnings season is almost here. We got Strong Link saying all the best from Norbrook. Drave checking in from Cool Mandeville. Is it still cool, Drave? Because yesterday was kind of hot. Like the heat is already starting up in Mandeville and it's just January. Hoping we're not on track for another record year of heat because things are looking weird. Snow in Florida, climate change is truly real. Michael is in Portmore City. Ingrid clocking in from Bull Bay, St. Andrew. Royston checking in from Red Hills. Orville saying he's joining from the Bad Grong. Where exactly is that, Orville? We got Supervillain in Culloden, Westmoreland. Elaine in Linstead. Devon's beekeeping checking in from Mabay. We got David Lee in Hanover. Shane loving your show from Clarendon. Who else is here? Orlando checking in from Kingston. Demar Sawadea. We also got Humble Boss checking in from Negril. Ocho Rios in the building saying good night, my TJH Army. And we also have, who else is here? Jordan in Mona. Mikhail in St. James. Infinite Moments in Canada. Swadian in Mona. Ravi joining all the way in San Diego. So let me know in the chat what part of Jamaica or the world you are joining us from. So Blue Power Group, like I mentioned, was the #1 stock in Jamaica last year. Returns of about 80%. That means that if you had invested 100,000 Jamaican dollars in Blue Power Group in January, by the end of December, your money would have been worth $180,000. $1 million would have been $1.8 million at the end of the year. So pretty sweet returns coming from Blue Power Group. In a year that was lukewarm, there were gains, but not great, 2-3% gains on average. And here we have Blue Power being the outlier with 80% returns. They've never been on this show before, but there is a first time for everything. So it is my pleasure to introduce the general manager of Blue Power, VJ Tolan. Hi, VJ. Great to have you.
Hi, Kalila. Glad to be on your show. Thanks for having me as well. And good evening to everyone.
Oh, wonderful. So before we get started and diving into results and what the company is doing and all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been with the company?
Thank you. So I started at Blue Power in November 2020. So a little over 4 years ago, I joined the company as commercial manager, then transitioned to commercial and operations manager. And about 2.5 years ago, transitioned again to general manager. So that's really my pathway at Blue Power so far, and it's been a wonderful journey. I'm extremely honored and privileged to be leading this wonderful company that has such big ambitions.
Have you always been into business?
I think I have, yeah. I think maybe in prep school, I think we weren't supposed to be selling lollipops, but I think I was. I may have been breaking the rules back then, not doing it now. I I'm breaking the rules now. But prior to Blue Power, just for information purposes, yes, I was at Grace Kennedy for about 8 years. I went around the company. I started on their accelerated program, went into the foods division, in the international foods division. Actually, went overseas when they did their acquisition of Lafayette Foods. I was in the States for 2.5 years. Came back and worked in global marketing and the manufacturing side as well, and then I moved to the Blue Power Group in, as I said, it was 2020 November. So that's kind of my background um, in business at a professional level. And
Well, so
again, it's
far
been
so
a
good.
blessing.
So
Yeah,
far so
yeah,
good.
giving
So
thanks.
I think everybody is familiar with cake soap. Every Jamaican, at least, is familiar with blue soap, cake soap, but they might not be so familiar with Blue Power Group. Can you tell us a bit about the company's origin story? How did this get started? How long has Blue Power been around?
Right. So Blue Power has, I think, a very inspiring story. Our founder is Dr. Diru Tano. He founded the company about 24 years ago. He is originally from Uganda, and
Oh,
yeah, and came to Jamaica. He has a very good story. He came to Jamaica. His family in Uganda actually had a soap factory, and while working in Jamaica, I guess towards the end of one aspect of his professional career, he said, I my family had a soap factory, and I found it very interesting, and I think this is something I'd love to do. And so he started Blue Power as, I guess, just an inclination to do something that he enjoyed from his childhood days. And he's a very wise man. He's an excellent businessman. And so what happened was Blue Power essentially started from a factory with limited people there, one little machine, literally with the leadership selling soaps like downtown, just trying to get people to try it. And in the span of those 20 odd years, um, year over year, it developed and grew, and through a lot of grit and a lot of vision. And so this is where we are now. We really started from a childhood dream from our founder, Dr. Tanner.
how
And
long ago was that?
I believe it was in 2000, the year 2000 or 2001, thereabout. Now, just to share with you as well, on the stock exchange, Lumber Depot, which was also founded by Dr. Tanner, was combined with the Blue Power soap business. And so the Blue Power group initially consisted of Lumber Depot and the Blue Power soap business. In 2000, they separated on the stock exchange. And so Lumber Depot is its own business on the JSE, and we're our own business since 2020.
Mm. So, wow. So, soap manufacturing in Uganda. Is that where he got the blue soap from, or was that already here?
No, it was already in Jamaica. I think we came and we really took it to another level. We understood the business very well. We understood the manufacturing very well, and so we put ourselves in a position to really be a manufacturer of choice when it came to cake soap. And
Wonderful.
that's our connection with cake soap. But I just want to add though, Kalila, that while that's our origin, we do way more than
I
cake
was just
soaps.
about to ask, like, what
Yeah,
other products do you
yeah.
manufacture?
So we do laundry, clearly, but we also do a lot of bad soaps, and we have the capability, and we do it to manufacture bad soaps of very across varying categories. So if you think about traditional bath soaps, traditional beauty soaps, we can do it. If you think about natural soaps, we can do it. If you think about dermatological tested soaps, we can do it. And so our abilities within the manufacturing realm of bar soap manufacturing are very wide. And we have over the years developed products, developed relationships with companies that own brands, use these type of products. And so when you hear the name Blue Power, it's natural for one to say, well, that's the cake soap company, or that's the blue soap company. But we're letting everybody know today on your show that we're more than just cake soap. We're a plethora, we manufacture wide categories of bath soaps as well.
And laundry products.
Correct. Yeah. So the laundry
Tavares,
products primarily are the blue soaps. So when we say the laundry soaps, we primarily refer to the blue soaps.
Tavares wants to know if you do carbolic soap.
Yeah, man. We manufacture anything bath. So carbolic is one of the things we do very well.
Do you sell under your own brands or do you white label for other companies or both?
Right. So we do both. I mean, we consider ourselves to be manufacturers, and that's what we want to continue to do. We think we do it very well. We we really have built, I think, some strong partnerships, some strong relationships with big brands, big prominent distributors who are serious about business in Jamaica. And so as manufacturers, we recognize that this is a very important part of our business, white labeling, and we'll continue to do that. And it is what we see ourselves doing in the future, continuing to manufacture, contract manufacture for other brands, and you know, utilizing our internal resources, our internal expertise to see how we best can facilitate their growth and facilitate their innovation. We
What
also
are
have brands under our name.
right? So I was about to ask that. What are your brands that we might recognize?
So you may recognize the Blue Paw laundry bar, which is the Blue Paw cake soap. It's a very popular soap. We have the Blue Paw carbolic as well, and we also have some Castiles on the Blue Paw line. So those are the three primary products that you'd see under the Blue Paw name if you go into a store, if you go into a wholesale.
Oh, and on the bath side?
Yeah, so on the bath side, it's the carbolic and the Castile, and then on the laundry side, it's the cake soap.
Okay. All right. Got it. So I know manufacturing in Jamaica is a big challenge
Yeah.
because you
Oh
have
yeah, yeah.
import costs, you have trade agreements, you have high cost of electricity. What would you say is the biggest challenge to a company like Blue Power right now?
So, so I'd want to to kind of flip it in another way. So to tell you a little bit more about Blue Power is to speak about our vision, right? So we see ourselves growing as a manufacturer, not only in the bath soap or in the soap category, but we also see ourselves transcending beyond bar soaps. As we progress, we have taken on more business, engaged more partners, and that in and of itself, as we seek to attain that vision, comes with the need to attract more talent. It comes with the need to onboard more efficient equipment so we can be more productive. It comes with the need to ensure that our ultimately align with what we think, or what we think the future can manage. So we forecast what we think will sell in the future. We forecast what we think consumers want in the future, and we have to do our best to align with that. So manufacturing for us, I think we've done it for 20 odd years. I think we've really spent a lot of time to understand what the flaws are. I think from my own experience, maybe ensuring that we have the right persons all the time is something that affects manufacturing. What I'd say is we have a fantastic team, but Kalila, something I'll mention to you is that what I find is when we are seeking, some workers to come to the factory, what I find sometimes is that males in particular are not as engaged as the females, and I do find that at times that's an issue that we face, and that's just a real issue. And that's what I have seen. I mean, we have a fantastic team, but I'd say that is one hitch that not just for Blue Pearl, but just manufacturing overall, because I've spoken to other manufacturers, um, in Jamaica, and we seem to have a similar issue when it comes to getting males engaged.
Wow. Wow. So are you having labor force challenges now that let's say our unemployment rate is at a record low? I think it's like 3% now. Are you finding it a challenge to get people to work?
So we maintain the complement of staff that's required. But I would say though that it is a challenge at times, especially when you need that that extra labor. Let's say you need to do some extra shifts, or you're trialing some new methods, and you need to onboard some extra workers with the opportunity for them to come on for a longer stint and come on permanently. That is a challenge sometimes, and it's a real challenge. I think our team, and in fact, our team does do a very good job. I must pick up our production supervisor and our HR team and everybody in the warehouse and engineers, because they do a very good job of kind of working together and identifying um, persons who can fit the roles that we require. And so even if there are iterations that we have to go through before we find somebody that works out, our team is very committed to it. But it is a challenge, Kalila. And I think for Jamaica's sake, we need to figure out what the real challenge is, what the underlying challenges that causes it, that underlying challenges that causes it. But it's something that, it's something to be addressed, I think.
Do you export?
We do export. We do export. So our brand Blue Pearl is actually in the US, where our brands can be found in Florida and the Northeast. So that's New York, New Jersey, Boston. We have a distributor up there that does very well for us, I would say.
Is it mostly
We
Caribbean people who buy your products in those markets?
Yeah, a lot of Caribbean diaspora buy our products in that market. And what I would say is Jamaicans, Guyanese, Trinidadians, and Haitians are big buyers of blue soap. So when I go into my trade visits, it's always pretty interesting because, we all know that in the Caribbean, we have very similar cultures and very similar patterns when it comes to many things, including, food and stuff. But when you think about washing, it's always interesting to see that, okay, Ghanaian consumers are picking up the blue soap because this is what they know, this is what they grew up on as well. Haitian consumers, this is what they grew up on. And so, there's a connection to our soaps, not just for Jamaica, but the diaspora.
So you export to those markets in the Caribbean as well?
Yeah. So, one of the things, Kalila, and you kind of touched on it in the beginning too, in terms of, what has Blue Pearl done. We in 2021 we exported to the Caribbean, right? Now the long story short is that we have a strong business in Jamaica, and we're very proud of our brand partners out here, and they've made our products flagship. Now there's a 40% tariff that has been levied on the imports of our key raw materials, which typically comes from Asia. This was handed down by the CCJ last year. I believe it was January 31st last year. So about a year ago. And so where that really hurts us is that it prevents us from fulfilling our export potential to the Caribbean. So our brands are ready to go back global and are ready to, get back to the Caribbean because there is a demand in the Caribbean for products. But what you find is that we can't get there right now, or there's a challenge getting there because what the duty regime essentially says is that raw material coming in will attract a 40% duty. Then when it's exported to the Caribbean, upon importing it, there's also another 40% duty that will be levied. And so the cost components for export to the Caribbean would be, high. And so it's been
But I thought you
challenging.
would benefit from trade agreements like the CSME rules of origin if it's manufactured here and so on. You don't benefit from that?
Right. So I'd say this is the biggest, for us, it's been disappointing on our end. So this is something that's been handed down by the CCJ. So that, and essentially what it said is that the ruling by the CCJ is what maintains, which is that the duty will be levied, because but there's a case, and anybody can go and read up on the CCJ case. But essentially, if we want to export to the Caribbean, that base raw material would have to be manufactured in Jamaica or within the Caribbean for duty not to be levied. Now, what's been disappointing for us and for me in particular, because I know that there is demand in the Caribbean, and we have customers. I have visited the Caribbean, I visited Ghana, and we've spoken to potential customers within the Caribbean. We know that there's a demand for blue pearl and Jamaican manufactured blue soaps. We Blue Pearl have, in the past few years, invested in a plant to manufacture that base raw material, and it's in place. And what unfortunately has been a big challenge for us is getting the certificate of origins, and these certificate of origins are essentially issued locally by local authorities. So the trade board typically would issue it. So we have the equipment in place. We are able to manufacture the raw material. The challenge is that we have not received that certificate of origin, and it's not for a matter of not going through the process, but we just think that there have been many iterations of the relevant authorities kind of coming in and ensuring that we're doing what we're supposed to do to qualify for the certificate of origins. We believe that we have definitely fulfilled all the requirements to qualify for the certificate of origins. It's been over a year now that we've been trying to get this in place, and we need to get it done.
So why won't they give it to you? What do they say you're missing?
So I think what it is, sometimes these things happen, Kalila, and I guess it's crossing every single T and dotting every single I sometimes, and I think it's recrossing every T again and redotting every I to make sure that nothing is left unturned. And I understand that, but in the world of business, Jamaica is losing out. It's not just blue power. Jamaica is losing out, and we need to get back into our markets. So for us, we're ready to get back there. Exports is critical, and we want our Jamaican products to get back in the Caribbean. Or it's
they're not in the Caribbean now? I thought they were, but they just have the
but
big
it used to be,
tariff.
but because of because of the issues surrounding the duties, right? We had to essentially stop exporting to the Caribbean. So even though the ruling was last year January, quoted in the interim from about 2 years prior, so this is probably about 2021, right? They quoted issued in the interim. They issued a notice to CARICOM and to the Caribbean countries, including Jamaica, to say that this CCJ, this matter is in front of the courts right now. What obtains until the court decides is that anything coming in, right, and anything being exported to the Caribbean is going to attract the duty. So this has been challenging us for the past 3 to 4 years.
I see.
So the Caribbean, they used to have our products, right? And for the past 3 to 4 years, there's been an absence of Jamaican laundry soaps within the Caribbean, and we need to get back. We need to get back our Caribbean space.
And what percentage of your sales was the Caribbean market?
So at the time when it happened, it was about 20% of our revenue. Now
Wow.
we have grown our business since then, and so if we're supposed to use our revenues now, it would be closer to maybe 10% of our revenues.
Yeah, but when
So
you
it was
get
a
back
very
in that market,
significant hit. Yeah, it
yeah,
was, and it was, and but Khalil, that's one of the things though, because we lost our Caribbean business, 20% of the market, which is a big hit. And this is why, at the beginning, I wanted to kind of speak to Blue Power having a vision and looking at the future and looking at what consumers require, looking at how we can engage our customers better. Because what I'm proud of this company for, and I give a lot of kudos to members of the board and founder Dr. Tanner in terms of just charting the way forward for us to drive it. We have grown. So even with that huge setback of 20%, losing 20% of your business because you can't export to the Caribbean, we have grown in volumes and we have grown in revenues. And I think that's what makes this company very special. We have a leadership team that is really vested in seeing Jamaican manufacturing progress, and really interested in Jamaica being a country that exports great products. And because of that, we feel like we're a part of a bigger picture and a part of a bigger vision. And so we are motivated to continue pushing to make Blue Power grow. And so when we wake up in the morning and we head into office, what's on our mind legitimately and genuinely for a lot of our team members, a lot of our leadership team, is how can we ensure that our vision gets, is actualized.
so is that why you pivoted to Amazon, or was Amazon before all of this?
No, so Amazon is actually, I would say Amazon is a subset of our US exports. So it it does give us the opportunity to tap into members of diaspora, and in fact members of diaspora who are not in the spaces or in the geographical territories where our products are distributed currently. So it's a feature of that overall objective to tap into the diaspora market. But the retail trade in the US is much more impactful for us, and we get much more distribution to that network. And Amazon, however, Amazon is a feature of that. So when we look at our US sales, Amazon will feature in it.
So before we wind down, VJ, whenever we come on this show, we always have to talk numbers. I'm looking at your Q2 results. You had a 16% boost in revenues to 469 million, and your profits were also up by 23%. And this despite everything that you just explained going on with, losing the CARICOM market. So what is driving that increase? More people just want blue soap? What's going on?
Yeah. Well, I think more people want blue soap. Yeah, because we make it, we make a really good blue soap. But in addition to that, one is we keep close to our customers, and we listen and we try to understand what their objectives are in the space. And what has happened, I'd say, over the past 2 to 3 years is that our relationships have gotten closer, and we have innovated with them. We have we focus a lot on service levels. So we have ensured that we maintain inventory for their goods at greater than 95%. That's always our target for service levels. So that helps us to ensure that goods are always on shelf. And this has been a journey to get there over the past few years, and we've done pretty well at that. We have also onboarded new products. So whether it is, well, it really is primarily through our customers or whether it is through distributors, we have, through our innovation, boarded new products. So one element is just doing good at ensuring that our service levels are high. Two is ensuring that we have new products that we provide support for, because again, we really support our customers. Three is internally, we have focused a lot on becoming more efficient. And so there's been, capital expenditure in equipment, both on the packaging side and the production line side, which has shown, for us, we've seen the results. We're getting more product out, and so ultimately the what happens is that the more efficient you are, and I spoke about service levels a while ago, the better able we are to get product out when it's needed or even before it's needed. It's also helped us to, as we've gotten more efficient equipment, it's helped us to curb our costs. And so while pushing the revenue on the sales side, we have been able to kind of manage the expenses and the utilities that come along with that. And so ultimately, we will understand our business, and the strategy is to really keep our customers very close and provide them with the service levels that they require. So while you do speak about last year, for me, it's more than last year. It's been that journey over the past, 3 to 4 years of getting it right and, building the confidence for all the customers that we have. And I think we have done a pretty decent job. I think they would think so as well. And we're only going to get better at it.
So what's the plan for 2025? Anything new that you'd like to share?
Yeah, we'll continue to innovate. We do have innovation plans in the pipeline. We'll continue to seek out new opportunities with our customers and new customers. We are assiduously trying to get into the Caribbean, and we need this to be solved. And we're going to be putting added pressure on, because that, as I said, Kalila, is not just a challenge for Blue Power, but it's a challenge for Jamaica. Jamaica is losing when we're not getting our certificate of origins here at Blue Power. And so getting into the Caribbean is very key for us, and we're going to be pushing very hard to make sure that happens this year. We have purchased, anybody following Blue Power may have recognized that we purchased the land across the road from our current factory. It's about a 3-acre property. We see ourselves, Kalila, in the future, medium term in particular, evolving beyond bar soaps. And so we really want to see what other opportunities exist. And we think that, it's we find that the personal care industry as a whole is an interesting industry. And as we seek to become bigger manufacturers and better manufacturers, and as you can see from this interview, our team really believes in Jamaican manufacturing. We think it would be interesting to explore the personal care category on a wider scale. And so in our outlook, we see Blue Power not just being a bar soap manufacturer, but evolving into other aspects of personal care.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. All the best, VJ.
Thank you, Kalila, and thank you, everyone, for having me.
And to our Taking Stock viewers, you got a little inside tip there. Make a note for when Blue Power gets back into the CARICOM market. It can represent a significant increase for them and for other Jamaican manufacturers. So this is why we pay attention to the news. This is why we report in what's hot in business. This is why I send out the emails as to what is going on the business scene and how it affects you and your money, because that is going to be a major development when it does happen. And as you heard VJ said, they'll be pushing for that to happen sometime this year, because that is a big part of their revenue. Losing 20% is a major hit. All right, so let's get into your poll question for this week. Here's tonight's poll question. What do you think about the government selling an additional 20% of TransJamaican Highway? A, I'm excited. I'm definitely buying. B, the government should keep it. C, this will drive the value down, I guess because, more shares, higher supply, maybe less demand. D, other, leave a comment. So what do you think about the government selling an additional 20% of TransJamaican Highway? A, I'm excited. I'm definitely buying more. B, the government should keep it because maybe they need the money. C, this will drive the value down. D, other, leave a comment. Let us know over on Twitter. I know tomorrow we're going to have an email going out with the poll in the email. Cool new feature. We also have, you can also comment in the community tab of our YouTube channel. You can take the poll there, or you can just leave a comment in the chat and let us know, what do you think about the government selling their additional 20% stake in TransJamaican Highway? Leave your answers and let us know. We'll be right back. Up next is your market recap, and the analysts are standing by. Time now for your market recap. The JSE Combined Index was mostly flat last week. 127 stocks traded across the main and junior markets for the week ending Friday, January 17, 2025. 47 made gains, 66 lost value, and 14 stayed the same. 126 million shares changed hands on the Jamaican dollar market, valued at $629 million. TransJamaican Highway was the week's most traded stock, with 28 million shares changing hands. It started the week at $4.21, down 4%. Lasco Financial had the second highest volume. The stock was up 5.5% to open Monday at $1.53. And Carreras rounded out last week's most traded. The stock dipped 3% to start the week at $13.77. Now let's see who had the biggest gains of the week. CAC 2000 was the top gainer, up 17%. Epley 7.57% preference shares had the second biggest gain, up almost 16%, and MPC Caribbean Clean Energy USD rounded out the top stocks, up 15%. On the losing side now, Knutsford Express was last week's biggest loser. It fell 40% to open Monday at $10.82, while JetCon lost 13% and Kingston Wharves lost 12%. Over on the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange, the composite index was flat last week. Massey was the TTSE's most traded stock. The price was unchanged to open Monday at $3.89 TT. LG Williams B shares was Trinidad's top gainer, up 13% to start the week at 79 cents TT. And on the losing side, Cinema One shares fell 7% to open Monday at $5.50 TT. Over in the U.S., the Dow Jones, S&P 500, and the NASDAQ were all up about 4% last week. At the pumps, the price of 87 gas was up $1.16 last week, while 90 rose by 70 cents. Meanwhile, diesel prices rose $3.06. In foreign exchange, it took an average $157.49 Jamaican to purchase $1 US last Friday. That's 27 cents more than the week before. $1 Canadian cost on average $110.23 Jamaican. $1 British pound cost $193.44 Jamaican, and you could buy €1 for $162.97 Jamaican on average. Finally, on the crypto markets, Bitcoin rose 7% over the past 5 days, trading at $107,812 on Monday. Ethereum, on the other hand, fell 3%, trading at $3,349 on Monday. Like this show? No, I mean, do you really like this show? Well, support us by making a donation on Patreon. Your support will go a long way in allowing us to continue creating content like this and keep taking stock free for everyone. Go to patreon.com/Kalila Ray to sign up. The link is in the description. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, is brought to you by Barita Investments. Time now for your market recap. All right, welcome back. A slight technical glitch there. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comments about the poll question. What do we have here? Oren says a slight pullback in TJH today, closed below $4 today. Any comments as to why? And I saw somebody responding. Lanesra said, I suspect the GOJ selling 20% will lessen the demand for it on the market, could be seen as diluting the demand. We're going to talk about it with our analysts in just a few. Let me see what else you guys are saying. Rashane says A, very excited. Ingrid, very, very excited, choosing A. Oren says, absolutely excited, loading the boat. Kish says, I will buy. Rashane says, it's a good move. Shares in private hands rather than the government. And yeah, we're going to see. Shell's commenting on market recap. Massey is single-handedly holding up the entire Trinidad market every week. Massey is the most traded. Yeah, let me take a couple more comments before we go. We have bigging up Earl in Helshia in the house. We also have Lanesra commenting earlier about Blue Power, saying it's a Jamaican company. That's why it could be nepotism that's creating the issue for them in getting those rules of origin certification through. And of course, Raquel chiming in from Kingston as usual. Can always count on OG Raquel to remind people to like up the video. Thanks so much, Raquel. Appreciate you. So it is time now for the analysts. And who do we have joining us today? We've got Fund Sales and Service Manager at JMMB, Tanika Lawrence, and we also have Senior Research Analyst at Barita Investments, Shane Bennett. Welcome, Tanika. Welcome, Shane.
Hi, everyone. Good night. Thanks for having me.
Hey, everyone. Good night. Thanks for having me again, Khalil.
Great to have you guys on. So tonight we're going to start with Shane. We're looking at the international issue right now, geopolitics and the AI race, because this story has been all over the business news. I follow a lot of business sources, Bloomberg, CNBC, all of them on social media. And so my entire feed has been dominated by this Deepseek issue over the past couple of days and since yesterday. So we've seen the craze around China's new AI technology, Deepseek, and the effect that it has had on US stocks. So tell me, first of all, what happened? What is Deepseek and how is that affecting the market?
Okay, then. Okay. So just to provide some context, Deepseek, as those in the tech industry would describe it, would be a large language model. And for the most part, you can consider it as an alternative to chatbots like ChatGPT. Now, over the weekend, the emergence of Deepseek marked a potentially pivotal moment in the AI landscape, as this innovative Chinese company achieved performance comparable to cutting-edge models like ChatGPT at a fraction of the cost. Now, these breakthroughs underscore the impact of geopolitics on markets, as this development challenges the existing paradigms in the AI race between the US and China. But even more so, it also signals a disruption in the AI race, introducing the possibility that smaller, more resource-efficient players can challenge the dominance of major US tech firms. Now, as you can imagine, DeepSeek's advancements raises critical questions for the US tech industry. And we observed the market reaction yesterday with Nvidia shares tumbling roughly 17% over investor concerns before making some recovery today. And today's recovery would partially have reflected news coming out of the White House, right? that that President Trump sees this development as a good thing for competition and innovation, as well as the fact that, with more and more news coming out, we would have actually come to the realization that Deepseek's model also relies on older Nvidia chips. We can therefore appreciate that although this development has the potential to disrupt the disruptor that is Nvidia, along with the broader tech and energy industry, it also presents an opportunity for some players in the tech industry, and even more so, companies seeking to integrate AI technology into their services. But the real question is, if their methodologies prove scalable and are widely adopted, what should we expect for demand for GPUs and computational resources currently underpinning the success of companies like Nvidia? Now, as this story remains an ongoing development, a lot of what we're seeing in the market is based on conjecture, as both the bear and the bull case for US tech giants have some merit. But it seems as if after a jittery Monday, investor confidence is quickly returning to US tech.
So
But
would you say people
now,
overreacted? Would you say investors overreacted yesterday?
yes. And because of that, we would actually have seen some recovery in the market, particularly for retail investors. But at the same time, I would say that we should not just write off yesterday's market activity as your run-of-the-mill overreaction, as it becomes even more obvious that we cannot overlook the mounting challenges faced by Nvidia in light of Deepseek's breakthrough. Now, Nvidia's
But
dominance.
why is this such a big challenge for Nvidia? Because Deepseek isn't a direct competitor to Nvidia. They don't make chips. They're a competitor to, say, Microsoft that owns OpenAI.
Okay, then. So the real thing here is it challenges Nvidia's broad economic moat, that for market leadership in the AI space, you need, as I would describe it, top of the line hardware to run these models. And for the most part, Nvidia accounts for the lion's share of that market for GPUs, that is, right? So
you're saying with Deepseek's model, people wouldn't need as much computing power from Nvidia?
well, it's just to say that you can actually compete with a model such as ChatGPT that relies on Nvidia's state-of-the-art chips, but you can actually compete with them with what I would consider to be lower performing chips, right? And this is really born through necessity, considering the existing embargo that the US has placed on China with regards to chips from the US, right?
Right. You were about to make another point as well before I interrupted you.
Yeah. Okay, then. So it really goes back to Nvidia and the mounting challenges that they face in light of Deepseek's breakthroughs. Now, as I just mentioned, Nvidia's dominance was sustained by its broad economic moat on GPU manufacturing, but now we see that the competitive landscape is actually evolving. And if Nvidia wishes to maintain this competitive edge, the need for continued innovation will be key for their success. And Nvidia's current valuation, I would say, reflects high expectations of sustained dominance. However, history has showed that strong competition tends to erode the advantages of companies with supernormal profits. And for Nvidia, the risks for disruption are tangible and growing. But within the same breath, while uncertainty does exist, I wouldn't say that it is actually time to throw in the towel for US tech, as Nvidia's dominance in the AI hardware remains unmatched. As mentioned before, they would have the lion's share of the market with around 90% of the market for high performance GPUs. And As a result, Nvidia serves as a backbone of AI development, supporting industry leaders like Google, Microsoft, as you mentioned, and Meta. And their gross margins, which currently exceed around 75%, stands as a testament to their technological moat built on proprietary advances. And just to expand on this, AI adoption is still in its early stages with applications ranging from robotics to autonomous systems poised to unlock a lot of economic value. And with the recent development of Deepseek and its significantly cheaper cost to train, we could see more rapid integration of AI technology in industries such as medicine, finance, and education. And that's really and truly just looking at it from a overall cost basis for AI integration. And this bodes well for the overall market, especially when we consider the deflationary characteristic of technological advancement and how this could positively impact margins for companies that consume such technology.
I saw a video on TikTok in the past few days, with the cost of 1 gigabyte, like what the cost of 1 gigabyte of storage was in like 1980, and it was millions of dollars, and now it's like a couple cents for the cost of 1 gigabyte of storage. I'm going to take two comments before we move on to the next topic, which is TransJamaican Highway. So one, Nigel says it also helps Caribbean countries make use of AI for a lot less. And he says, whoopee. So yes, there are a lot of opportunities here, since that cost is coming down a lot faster than we initially thought. And then here's a comment from Sean that I want you to respond to. Sean says, Nvidia was a really hyped up stock. Nvidia is nowhere close to producing the chips capable of running AGI. Nvidia is under threat because now everyone can run an AI. Was Nvidia overhyped?
I would say that the case that Nvidia is overhyped, I wouldn't really jump to that conclusion as yet. And while some highlight that large language models like Deepseek require a whole lot less computing power than its US counterparts, we should remember that this was born from necessity, given the same chip embargo placed on China by the US. And it therefore begs the question of what exactly is possible when you merge the most advanced chip hardware in the market with even more efficient software. And we could possibly see this over the coming months, considering that Deepseek is open source, which allows developers from all over to not only use but adapt and modify the program for their own purposes. And just to remind you guys that Deepseek is actually run on Nvidia chips. It may be older chips, but at the same time, it is still Nvidia chips. And at the same time, we do have some concerns over capacity due to the lack of, I would say, the best performing chips that Nvidia most recently would have released.
Now, before we bring in Tanika, we've got to talk about the local scene, because we heard that big announcement from Prime Minister Andrew Holness at the JSE Investor Conference last week, that government is going to be divesting the rest of their shares, that's 20%, in TransJamaican Highway. And we saw some speculation in the chat even tonight about, how that is going to affect the market and how it may already be affecting the market. So what's your take on this divestiture?
I would say that it has indeed been an eventful few weeks locally, with significant news surrounding the divestiture of national assets, as well as M&A activity as well. We would have seen not only news surrounding the divestiture of NROC's 20% stake in TransJam, but also news around AS Bryden's takeover bid of CPJ, as well as Fontana's takeover bid of
Monarch
Pharmacy, right? And these developments underscore the broader economic environment in Jamaica, as well as our growth prospects. Now, what do I mean by this? right? Over the last decade, Jamaica would have demonstrated fiscal prudence and sound debt management, which would have not only enhanced international investor sentiment toward our emerging market economy, but also created the fiscal space for increased capital spending. And with that, I would like to go off on a tangent to just really drive home this point, right? And to illustrate, let us revisit an even earlier offer, that being the King Air bond offer. Now, that particular offer represented a groundbreaking moment for Jamaica, being the first of its kind in which receivables from a state-owned entity were securitized and used to generate debt capital to complement our national budget. This offer, I should point
Wait,
out,
this one missed me. What is it? The what bond offer?
the King Air bond,
King Air? What's King Air?
Kingston Airport Revenue Finance Limited. It was a
Oh,
special purpose entity
I missed that
created.
one.
Yeah, I think that offer came around like September last year, right? And it was a bond offer, and it was oversubscribed with a book well exceeding like 2 billion, right? And it was actually upsized to US 480 million. And overall, it served as a clear gauge of international investor sentiment and underscored Jamaica's accessibility to global financial markets. Now, I'm saying this to highlight that I think that one of the viewers would have mentioned that TransJam price would have actually receded somewhat at close today, and they're now wondering like, what is our outlook on TransJam? But what I really and truly would like your viewers to consider is, what is your outlook on the overall economy, considering I would say the private, well, not the government putting national assets into the hands of Jamaican citizens, right? So to just get back to my point, the improving investor confidence really and truly is a testament to Jamaica's fiscal discipline, even in the face of extraordinary external shocks such as the pandemic, right? And if we were to take an objective view of our economy, one might even conclude that Jamaica has yet to fully realize the economic growth payout from significant reforms implemented over the past decade. And while there exists a lag between reform and tangible growth, the lag between reform and tangible growth can be lengthy, Jamaica remains one of the region's most promising candidates for organic growth. And in the same breath, based on this, I believe that there will be numerous opportunities for investors to capitalize on in the near future, not just only the government's divestiture of that 20% of TransJam.
But
right?
what do you think will be the impact? So will this 20% dilute the shares, like flood the market and end up in a reduction in price? Is it going to dilute the current shareholders? And also, how much do you think they're going to sell it at?
Considering the current price and the fact that NROC owns around 20% stake, that puts it squarely around 9 billion. But to answer your first question, prices in the market primarily reflect supply and demand. And if demand is, for the most part, the same, we could see some pullback in the price. But just to add to that point, and I believe it's actually crucial to highlight the importance of time in the market versus timing the market. As many people over the last week would have been asking me about the additional shares that will become available when NROC puts the remaining 20% stake in the market, and whether or not they should buy at the current price. And while I do believe that TransJam continues to represent a compelling value proposition for investors seeking exposure to Jamaica's critical infrastructure, the returns will likely be more favorable to those who have been steadily investing and dollar cost averaging over time compared to those looking to enter now.
Well, I'm curious to see, when the offer actually comes out and what that share price, what that offer price is going to be. Thank you so much, Shane. Much appreciated. You gave us a lot to think about this evening.
Okay, no problem.
Now I'm moving over to Tanika. And Tanika, tonight we are doing some personal finance talk, which we do from time to time on this show as well. Welcome to Taking Stock, Tanika.
Thanks, Kalila.
So one thing that our viewers are always interested in is retirement planning. And well, some people feel like they're too young to be thinking about retirement planning, but I know our Taking Stock viewers are there. They plan from early, no matter what stage of life they are in now. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about the importance of retirement planning.
All right, so retirement planning is often overlooked. It's one of those long-term goals that we wait until we're close to retirement before we really start thinking about how much money do I need to really take care of my expenses when I no longer have a salary to depend on. So early planning is very, very critical, especially when you know that, all right, your three income sources that you have to focus on at retirement age. And that's the first one is your NIS benefits. So once you're working, once you're getting income, you should be contributing to the national insurance scheme, right? Your second source of income is your approved retirement scheme. And with the approved retirement scheme, you can start as early as age 18, and that's your second source of income, but it also caps you in terms of how much you can contribute. So 20% is the maximum, 20% of your salary, gross annual salary, is the maximum you can contribute. So sometimes when you look at your overall income coming from an approved retirement scheme, you may have a shortfall, and that's where your third income source comes in, and that's your other investments. And with your other investments, and I was listening to Shane talk about, how dynamic the investment market is. So you can think about how you want to build out your other investments, whether that's going to be stocks, bonds, real estate. This is where you can now decide on the quality of life that you want to live at retirement age by customizing your retirement portfolio. So critical planning in the early stages is important to, one, secure an income that's going to take care of you at retirement, and also to help to prevent, to avoid old age poverty. And the data right now in Jamaica, the data actually shows that a lot of Jamaicans aren't covered under an approved retirement scheme, which means that we are going to be facing old age poverty. And so we want to encourage young persons to start thinking about their future right now. Think about your retirement right now, what kind of life you want to be living at retirement age, and start looking at your income sources.
Orlando online says, growing up, most parents weren't equipped with the knowledge to really plan for retirement, yet alone teach their offspring. So a lot of older people, their children are the retirement plan.
That is true. That is true. And that is the cycle we're trying to break right now. We don't want to repeat that cycle anymore. So it's up to us to start saving for retirement so we don't pass on that burden to our children.
And the good thing about having a retirement account or a specific retirement plan is that those funds come out of your pay before taxes, which is something that a lot of people don't know.
That is correct. So you get the tax advantages of having that 20% maximum that you're able to contribute annually. It's tax-free. So it comes out of your salary before tax. And don't discount that little bit of tax savings, because it goes a long way to ensuring that you're maximizing on your income at retirement age. Because it really accumulates.
But it does get taxed when you eventually draw from that retirement fund, though. So it's not entirely tax-free. It's only tax-free now.
So we like to refer to it as tax deferred, but also you have to think about pensioners, and their tax bracket is also different from the we're taxed when we're currently working. Pensioners have a higher tax threshold than the employed person right now. So that's also a benefit that you get at retirement age, to know that, all right, I'm saving right now tax-free. At retirement age, I also get tax-free benefits. So if you're over 65, you get additional tax-free benefits. So if you're over age 65, you also get an additional tax-free benefit as well on your pension income.
Sean says TJH is my retirement plan. Good for you, Sean. It's all about diversification, right, Tanika?
Diversification. And that's what we preach. We preach diversification, but what does that really mean? Because I find that a lot of persons don't quite understand that when we say diversify your portfolio, we really mean put your money to work in different types of assets, different types of investments that's going to give you an income when you retire.
Shells has a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this one, but Shells wants to know, in Jamaica, who gets your national pension if you die before retirement?
So it goes back to your estate planning as well. And you can always, once you're retired, you can list a beneficiary because you're not getting a pension. So those are some of the things that you ensure that's covered under your estate planning.
Okay. Well, anything else that you'd like to mention? Does JMMB have plans for young professionals planning for retirement?
Yes, so we have the JMMB Retirement Solutions, and it's easy to customize your retirement account with JMMB Retirement Solutions. You can start as early as age 18, as I mentioned before. You can also contribute up to a maximum of 20% of your gross earnings. And if you're not sure what your contribution rate should be, you can check out our retirement projection calculator or Hello Future calculator. It's on our website at hellofuture.jmmb.com. And once you get on, and I can even give you a preview of what the calculator looks like. I'm going to share a screen.
Sure. hellofuture.jmmb.com. Producer, can we get that web address on the screen, please? While Tanika brings it up, let's take a look. And in the meantime, I see some comments here. Strong link mentioning, also note that the employer may match your contribution to the pension plan. Great point there, Strong link. Several employers do. Troyan says it basically gives you the opportunity to grow your money into a bigger pie, and then you give the tax man a thing.
So the calculator is pretty simple. Once you put in your age, your gross salary, you can put in a starting investment amount, your contribution rate, and set a retirement goal. Always important to set a retirement goal. At least if you know what you're saving towards, you know if you need to make any adjustments to get to that goal. And you can also set your retirement age. And the calculator simply shows you how much you need based on your goal and based on your contribution, how much you actually have at retirement age. And if you need to make any adjustments, it also tells you, where the shortfall is, where the gap is, and how much you need to be contributing to close that gap.
I like this. This is so useful. hellofuture.jmmb.com. So you put in your information and it tells you how much money you need so you can track your progress towards your retirement goals. Wonderful. And there it is on the screen. So we'll also put that link in the description as well. So you can just click off after the show is done. You can just click it and go check it out for yourself. Well, thank you so much, Tanika. Much appreciated. You've given us a new resource to go play around with tonight.
Yes, most definitely. Check out the calculator, everyone. Very useful information.
And Shane, before you go as well, how do people link you if they're interested in anything that you have said tonight?
I'll be sure to share my email with you guys. I think, give me 1 second. For those interested on further insights from me and overall the Barita team, you can contact me at shaneb@barita.com.
shaneb@barita.com. Pretty easy to remember.
Pretty easy. So, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Shane. Thank you, Tanika. Great show tonight. Great points.
Thanks for having it, Khalil.
We will take our final break and come back with your comments. This segment of Taking Stock, The Analysts, was brought to you by JMMB and Barita Investments. Oh, we're back already? All right, let's see the final comments. I saw quite a bit coming through in the chat. Let's go to them. Big up to Travel Chef checking in from Wyoming. We had Shane having a few of his fans coming through. Michael saying, my dog, Aji, that's how you say it, I think, Womas. Linda and saying, proud of you, my bro Shane. X-Ray Designs, reminding people to check out the Mayberry bond, 10 or 24 months at 10.25% per annum. We've got Nigel commenting on Nvidia and what happened in the market this week with Deepseek, saying the expensive chips may not be needed. Rashane wanted to know if people were overreacting to the TJA offer with persons selling the stock in light of this. We do not know as yet the details of the offer. And we also don't know if that's what led to the dip in price for TJH, because it may well go back up. Earl said TJH is a bargain. Roger also saying people overreacting to the government selling TJH. The stocks won't be diluted. I will be buying. Oren, who we already know is TJH Army. Oren says, Rashane, I buy TJH every week, not selling till $10. Sean says, I feel like investors with large share volumes are trying to push the price down so that when the government sells, they get it at a discount. That's my theory anyway. Tavares says there's no dilution because the shares already exist. What it creates is more liquidity. Good point, read the liquidity. Sean again, demand is heavy for TJH right now, and with the promise of a higher dividend yield, I don't see the demand leaving anytime soon. And I also think that when this IPO comes, if you can still call it an IPO, I think so because it's NROC this time, I think there's going to be a rush on the shares. Tavares says, especially depending on the price. So what share price will the government list these new shares at? There may be a rush on these shares. Tavares says a lot of people here need real learning on the real effect of this. And then we have Karen thanking Tanika for good information. So big up yourself, Karen. I hope that you go play with that new toy, that new tool that JMMB has, or at least it's new to us. hellofuture.jmmb.com. And can you bring up Shane's email for me? You can also reach out to Shane at shaneb@barita.com. So that is our show for this evening. Thank you guys so much. Yeah, so our producer, Sachel, is also a Wilmerian. So big up yourself, Sachel, big up yourself, Shane, big up the Woma's crew in tune tonight. Izzy's a Wilmerian as well. Izzy is managing the Instagram live feed tonight. Big up all the Wilmerians, Mama Wilmerians, whatever else you call yourself. Love to have you guys on. That is it. Yet another week here on Taking Stock. Remember to subscribe to the newsletter at getmoneynews.com. That's getmoneynews.com, and subscribe to this channel. I see we had over 300 live views tonight. You know, in the past few weeks, I have noticed an uptick in our viewership on this show. And I wonder if this is an indication of things to come for 2025, that people are confident about the market. More people want to know about investing again. Our numbers are looking really strong here on the show. Last week at the JSE Investor Conference, it was a packed room, no parking. I've been to a few of these conferences for the past 5-6 years, and this was the most crowded I've seen it. This is the most people I've seen at that conference. And that's just me eyeballing it. I don't have the official numbers, but it's promising. So based on the number of people attending that conference, based on the number of people watching the show again, rising, so it's like doubled in the past few months, I think that we might be in for a good 2025, that investor confidence is being restored. And you guys are interested again, and I love to see it. But remember to support the platform at Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Kalila Ray. Help us stay in business, help keep this show on the air so that we can be free for you every week. Thanks for watching. Thanks to our hardworking production team. Thanks to Sachelle Williams, our producer, who is under the weather this evening, but still thugged it out for us. We appreciate your persistence, Sash. Thanks to Izzy Ramsey. Thanks to our editor, Alexa Roberts. And thanks to, everybody associated with this show. For those of you who are interested in investing, but you still, you're getting the bits and pieces here, you're ready to start, but you just want to know how, then we have a sale going on at moneymissionja.com. These are the last few days of the sale. Our January sale for investing for beginners, you can access that by using the code NEWMONEY for $50 off investing for beginners. Investing for beginners, ja.com, or you can access it at moneymissionja.com and get $50 off investing for beginners. Those of you out in the diaspora, those of you specifically in the United States who applied for Invest for Better's program on impact investing, you're going to be getting an email from me sometime this week with further details. That is exciting, and I look forward to being a part of that with you as well. So until next week, come on, let's get this money. See you next time.